Looks like we're live.
Welcome back to another week. It's funny, I'm staring. Actually, I want to see how it looks on Instagram because I'm staring at it. I guess I was just saying it's the vertical thing now. See if it looks any better. Be live on Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's just delayed a little bit.
Yeah, Instagram's always like that for some reason.
It's like when they radio down to the news guy, it always takes a second.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna pop up. So how's everybody doing? Just getting started here. Do some question and answer. If you guys got any people joining in, you guys got any questions, pop them in the chat.
Oh yeah, looks good. Looks better. Cool. Yeah, definitely. We're in the, I guess, I mean, even though it's the beginning and the eyes of someone that's doing the wholesale model, it's really the heat of Q4, actually. I mean, you're kind of just on the precipice of the sales bump, like the real sales bump, but at the same time, kind of in that middle ground of getting product in, but also can't send in any real LTLs anymore, any trucks. So it's kind of that I guess the calm before the storm, but we're still trying to kind of finalize everything.
Yeah. Yep. We sent an LTL in by accident today.
It's tough because when you have the operations where there's a lot of moving pieces, back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing because it's even as much systems as you place in, there's always going to be slippage,
Yeah. Well, because I mean, I feel like it's that sentence in general. If you say that to someone who just started their business, it's like, how the hell is that even possible? But I think when things just become convoluted, it's just all about you just do the best you can at the end of the day. There's slippage, it is what it is.
Yeah, hopefully that stuff gets checked in.
I was gonna say though, the reality of it is that you're hopefully doing that, if you were to make a mistake like that, is not going to destroy your business, right?
I mean, I think it's going to be okay because it's December 1 is to be in for Christmas, and I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, the dates seem like they get earlier, every year. I think what was this year? This year was really early. It was October 30 for Black Friday. Was that what it was?
I think it was earlier than that. I think for Black Friday it was October 18th. But I mean, we were shipping shit after then for.
Yeah, I think it was because I was it just goes to show you there's a huge difference between if you're shipping if you're listening to this, you haven't gotten into shipping trucks yet. There's a huge difference. I mean, we do mostly small parcel. Even at the volume that we're doing, small parcel still most of the time just makes the most sense.
Yeah, which comes as a surprise to a lot of people because of the revenue size of our business. I mean, we run an 8-figure business, and we're shipping mostly small parcels because we created a business that we wanted to basically have as much hands-off nature as possible, right? So I think wholesale is oftentimes associated with getting a lot of it, pallets, lots and lots of pallets, right?
Yeah.
And outside of the holiday season, outside of 2 months out of the year, I mean, it's it's really not like we don't have as many SKUs as most wholesale businesses. We also have a lot of our suppliers shipping directly to Amazon so that's inventory we never see or touch ever. Not that we're seeing or touching the stuff that comes to our warehouse. Our staff does that, but it's less handling when the suppliers ship directly to Amazon. And so, for anybody watching, looking to get into wholesale, I mean, in all reality, you can build this business to where you want to build it. If you want to build it to, where you're making like 10K a month profit, and then flip it on cruise control and basically kind of let it ride. You can definitely do that. And once you have the systems built out and the wholesale accounts in place, the business model can definitely become more passive.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually listening to a Hormozy video earlier today, and kind of the same topic, where he said basically, like, when you create a business, you're creating something that has value to you because you're the one that is the operator. And in order to create a business that has value to other people, which if you want to sell, that's obviously important, is creating a business that works, and not only works, but grows without you. And so, like, for a wholesale, that is something that the business can work without you at the end of the day, because it's just on a complete fire and forget, which I think that the biggest thing for us switching from arbitrage into wholesale was saying, I don't want to have to constantly have to fight tooth and nail for every single product that I get into my inventory. I want to be able to work and then relax later. And that's really one of the biggest benefits, I think, to this model, is you have the ability to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, once you have the systems built out and everything's up and rolling and in place,
I'm just thinking about the truck.
Yeah, I was laughing at that too. But once you have everything built out, like that's the beautiful part about this business.
It doesn't take a lot too. We talk about like we always say it's simple, but it's not easy, and like, I mean, when we say, like, what does that mean to someone that's just brand new getting into it?
Well, simple, not easy. So basically what that means, and I've said that for a while, is that wholesale in principle is it's a very simple model. I mean, you buy in bulk from suppliers, authorized suppliers, and you sell that inventory on Amazon to the consumer. Wholesale itself has existed since the Stone Ages. It's very simple. But as far as like, it's not easy to execute, I mean, at a high level necessarily, so you got to build the right systems. You got to implement the right tools in order to become successful, right? So you need to source the right kinds of suppliers. You need to contact 50 to 100 suppliers a week. You need to purchase inventory at a certain buying criteria, so you have to do all of these different things that do in fact require a lot of moving parts. And because of that, that's why it's not easy. I mean, especially in the beginning,
Well,
you got
I
to
think
in
I
place.
think a lot of it too, like, if we were talking about the thing with the truck, right? It's like accidentally sending out a tractor trailer, right? It seems like something that would be hard to have an oversight on, but I think that it really speaks to, there's a lot of moving parts in the business, and things can get really, like, unless you're organized. I mean, you talk about contacting 100 to 150 companies a week. I mean, you try to do that without, a spreadsheet or without a CRM or something, and you're going to be so confused that you're going to be moving in a lot of different directions, but not actually getting anything accomplished. It's like running on a treadmill. You know what I mean? So I think that when you're starting to get into a high volume business like this, having the systems to have everything organized can be the difference between just doing things for the sake of doing them and then actually doing things that are producing. And I think once you can get yourself in that quadrant, that's really how effective work gets done and how you grow your business.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Um, so Jacob's joining us here.
Jacob sent me a really pretty solid lead. He got an account from the trade show that he just went to, and sent me the product. Yeah. See, Jacob. Yeah, is that crazy? I look different, huh? Why did Brandon shave his beard? I'm scared. Yeah, watch out. Did that about 10 minutes ago. So
Yeah.
it was, what's funny? I actually said Brad and I were recording some stuff, and I started recording it with facial hair, and I was like, it was a series, and I said if I shaved before that, it would look a little off. So we're done with it now. So
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna pop up. So we actually got some of the top questions from the YouTube channel that could be most applicable, to anybody watching this. And a lot of people do watch the playbacks on these lives, and so that's what we're gonna do. Is we're gonna pop in some of the top questions that came through on our YouTube channel and answer those. So I'm just gonna post them in the chat box here. Right. And so
sure. And I was going to say too, a lot of people have the same question. So if you have a question, chances are somebody else has the same thing. So while we're doing this, feel free to ask,
Yeah, exactly. And so let me just read this one here. As far as a good interview, guys, as far as working with distributors, would you say that this method is not really worth it anymore and to just work directly with brands themselves? Also, is the invoice from the distributor good enough for Amazon to prove authenticity if they request, or do you have to get brand to give you the okay before even buying from a distributor? I think this is a really good question for, a beginner getting into wholesale.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say that just in reality, it's a different method, right? It's not to say that one is not worth it. There's people that are very, very successful in the distributor model, but it's not a method that we prefer because, in our opinion, there's less consistency in it. You want to kind of explain why that is?
Yeah, so a lot of times working with distributors, especially if they're larger, it's you're buying on promotion. You're getting in for a temporary period of time, and then you're getting out. You know what I mean? And so because of that, you're not always you're not getting that consistent supply like you would with a brand. Um, and so when you're buying directly from brands, you get it's like guaranteed supply.
Yeah. There's a lot of other benefits as well, and there's a level of communication where you can communicate things to a brand owner because they care. The distributor a lot of times does not care, so it's difficult to forward that relationship. How many people do you know? I've never heard of anyone that says I have an exclusive relationship with a distributor. That kind of defeats the whole purpose. The point of being a distributor is to sell to as many people as possible, and they don't have the vested interest basically in the company in order to make decisions to get you that exclusivity that you want. So it's different, and it's not the method that we prefer. You also got things like IP complaints. So the brand might issue you one if they, even though they're selling to the authorized distributor, they still don't want you on Amazon. So it's always a reality. Then the second part of the question is the invoice from the distributor good enough for Amazon to prove authenticity if they request, or do you have to get the brand to give you the okay before even buying from the distributor? Kind of a multi-part question here. We always want brand authorization from the distributor, correct? We always want the distributor to be authorized by the brand, or we're not going to even buy from them.
Yeah. So you would want to get if you can get an authorized list of distributors from the brand, that's going to be your best bet because then you're immediately validating the supply chain. If you're unable to contact the brand or you're unable to get that list, you do want to show some sort of proof of purchase from that brand. So you need to see some sort of proof from the distributor that they're actually buying directly from the brand, whether that be an invoice from their purchases from the brand, or whether that be redacted documentation between an agreement of the distributor and the brand. You want to see some sort of proof if the first option is not available, and the first option is to go directly to the brand and make sure that that distributor is in fact authorized.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
then you want to look for some basic things, as far like business legitimacy, website, has a business presence, Google page, like it's actually a legitimate company. Those are just additional things you still want to look for, but you can't solely rely on those things. You need one of those three things that I mentioned.
Yeah, especially a distributor too, because you can run a brand out of your house. You probably can't run a distributor operation out of your house. They have to be much more legitimate because they're dealing with large dollar figures in a lot of cases, and a lot of companies and everything. So I don't know if there's a distributor that's operating out of a 900 square foot apartment. I don't know. I wouldn't personally trust them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Distribute too much out of that.
So this was a question from Body Mania. Could you please answer a question for me? Is it absolutely necessary to have your own online store website when communicating with suppliers? How often do they actually ask to see a website?
Yeah. Well, he asked you the question, so I'll let you answer this one.
So as far as websites go, it's not absolutely necessary to have your own website in wholesale. It's a nice addition that gives you the ability to show more legitimacy behind your company, but you don't need to have a website. It's one of those things that if the brand asks you about a website, it's good to have that on the on the back burner just in case they ask you. Then you can direct them there. But as far as like an absolute necessity, it's definitely not. I mean, we went for a long time without any sort of website, and we're closing wholesale accounts direct with brands. It's the most important thing is building the relationship, but the website and different things like that can help you show more legitimacy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's other more important things to focus on, like make sure you have the email domain, make sure you have all that set up first.
Yeah. So the email domain being what?
Yeah, so just having something at your business name. So you want to have, Brad at operationamz.com or whatever your company is. It's important to have that so you're not contacting from a Gmail or something like that because they're going to weed you out right there just for something like that.
Yep. So this is actually a good question here from John Wholesale. Why don't you have every supplier you work with ship directly to Amazon? It's pretty simple process for the supplier, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a perfect world, they would. I think the reality is a lot of businesses are not set up to do that, whether it's because they're physically not set up, they don't have the staff, or it's because they don't want to. Um, I think that you need to really take it on a case by case basis. And if you wanted to, you could only contact suppliers that were going to ship to Amazon for you. But at the end of the day, I think that's going to significantly limit the amount of suppliers that you're able to close. You're kind of coming in with an ask up front. So that's one of the things we always say is like you don't want to start making demands up front in general. And so if you're doing that, you're trying to close the account and you're saying, oh, by the way, we need you to prep everything and send it to Amazon. It's just not a good look. I think it's actually detracting from what your offer is as a brand partner. So down the line, it's something you can mention, but it's not something that we bring up right away unless it's not feasible to ship it to us.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want that to ruin you, like just that to ruin the wholesale account, right? Like that's such a waste to not get the account just because you said you asked them for too much in the beginning about shipping to Amazon.
Right. And again, like these are the types of questions that everybody has. It's like, if you're doing this, there's not a lot that changes in this business. I think it's just about navigating everything based on the situation. So these questions are probably applicable to a lot of people that are listening to this.
Yeah. Pulling a couple more. So just we could touch on this, right? I think we can explain why, like this is something that a lot of arbitrage sellers and people, sourcing generic wholesale are having trouble with is hard gating, right? Hard gating in big brands like this. And so when you buy directly from the brands, you're buying from smaller to medium-sized companies. And because of that, you don't have to deal with these kinds of issues, right? So you're circumventing hard gates. You're circumventing invoices from Amazon with hundreds of units that they might be asking for. You're able to actually get that approved because you're buying straight from the brand. So a lot of some of the pain points that people have now, we see all the time in doing arbitrage is it's because Amazon is shifting in how they want their platform run.
Yeah, I mean, another thing to kind of look at it from the perspective of like, what is gating and how does gating work? Because a lot of arbitrage sellers don't really understand how that gating process works on the back end, because you're not doing any of it. You're not going into brand registry. You're not doing any of that stuff. And so from the perspective of how does this stuff actually happen, it happens because the brand is applying for their brands to be gated. And in order for that to happen, you have to go through a process. And some of these larger companies are doing that because they have a vested interest to do something like that. And it is clearly a problem because their supply chain is so big. And so when you have a smaller brand, those brands are not going to be gated to begin with for the most part. And if they are gated, if you get added onto that brand registry, in most cases, you're just going to be ungated automatically. Try getting on the brand registry for Lego and it's never going to happen. So it's a completely different approach. So rather than looking at saying Amazon's shifting and gating has become a problem, it's like, how can I pivot? How can I adapt and change my approach to where gating will no longer be an issue for me? And that is through partnering with those small to mid-sized brands who have control over their gating.
Right. Jacob's asking a question here. Got a price list back from a brand and it's all negative. I'm going to ask them for a quantity discount of some kind. You got any other tips?
I mean, there's other factors, in my opinion, that go into that. I think that the approach can split off into two branches, right? The approach could be, let's say, nothing. I can't do anything with the listing. I can't add any value. I can't do anything for them. Well, then you might not have wanted to contact that brand to begin with, unless it was just you were trying to get the low-hanging account. But if there's really nothing you can do, then I'd approach from a quantity discount perspective. If there is something you can do, I would start approaching, not even make a purchase yet. And I would start approaching from the other angle of saying, trying to find out more pain points and work your way in to eventually ease yourself into either taking sellers off or bringing the price down. But again, don't just go and ask, in my opinion, in the beginning. I don't think that they have any reason to give you necessarily anything. Man, and to follow that one up, just I mean, I didn't know you guys cared so much about the facial hair, man. It's crazy. Who do I look like? I look like give me some like Roman Reigns or something. I don't know. That's funny. WWE was crazy. Actually, fun fact. I once upon a time I went to one WWE show ever. I never went to or whatever, like Monday Night Raw, and they pulled me and my friend, who were like 8 years old at the time, out of line, out of like thousands of people, and they interviewed us for like one of the magazines, and my picture is in one of the WWE magazines, but they totally, like, as I was 8, they like totally butchered everything that I said. But I wound up in one of the magazines. Only went to one Raw show ever, but yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, 15 minutes of freedom. Yeah. Jacob said it was trade show. I spoke with the owner of the trade show for a bit, and he was explaining the Amazon side of things. Yeah, I mean, I always say, like, with trade shows, I think, and I know, Brad, you agree with this too, is like trade shows, in kind of our opinion, a lot of times they're better for building existing relationships than meeting new people. Would you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, mostly, it depends. I mean, you could, it does depend on the show. I mean, it depends on the situation, so I wouldn't write them off for building new relationships. I mean, we've forged new partnerships at trade shows, but for the most part, they've been in follow-up to existing correspondence that has taken place via phone. In the beginning, the phone is by far your most effective source, because trade shows take a lot of time, take a lot of travel, take a lot of energy, right? I'm not saying don't do them, but just bear that in mind. Like, if you got a lead going into that trade show, by all means, like, hit that trade show. But if you're just going in completely cold and you haven't even looked at the exhibitor list, there's more efficient ways to do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you said you should still go. Like, it's not something you should shy away from. I think it just builds the relationship. I think we've just had more success in the follow-ups for the most part at trade shows than initial contacts.
Yeah. It's popping up here, Instagram. Some people that were in there no longer there. Somebody's asking if we're rich because 10 million is crazy.
Well, let's break down, let's break down the anti-guru side of things. If you see somebody that's online that sells $1 million on Amazon and has a Lamborghini, then they're either renting the Lamborghini or they're not making the money from the Amazon business. Because I will tell you, unless you've got 90% margins, you're not making that much, right? So I think with the business and the size of the business comes a lot of operating expenses. It comes a lot of employees and different things like that on Amazon, and we're very grateful for us, and it's definitely changed our lives, right? But the reality is that the orange bars don't mean anything. It's all about what you take home at the end of the day. And that's the perspective that we've come from. And to say that we want to, although we teach this stuff, we want to always be operators and always be the ones doing it, and showing the legitimate side of how this business is run. So yes, it can make you really rich. It absolutely can. It's not going to happen overnight, and you're not going to be buying a Lamborghini in your first year or your first 5 years, or maybe ever, if you don't put the effort in. But it can get you there if you put in the work, and that's what I think is super important. And that's what we try to teach. And if someone wants to, work with us, that's the approach that we take. We don't tell you you're going to be rich, but we show you the methods on how to get there.
Right, exactly. And so let me tell you what this business model can get you. This business model can get you freedom. It can get you freedom of time, the ability to take your own time out of your day and spend it with your family and spend it with the people that you care about. It can get you a business that generates income without you having to actually work into it, right?
I think Brad turned into a robot.
My camera's not working?
Yeah, it sounds you're all choppy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How am I doing now?
Better.
Okay. No, I was just saying that this business can get you freedom, right? For a lot of people, I mean, great. Lamborghini's great. Nice cars are great, but
R2D2. That's what you sound like.
Oh my God.
He's getting figured out here. I'm just going to jump back in here. James says, what are your thoughts on pursuing brands that are currently not selling on Amazon? We have pretty strong opinions on this, right? Following up with doing well on other platforms. So that is a must, right? You absolutely, if you're going to be selling a brand on Amazon in general, it needs to be doing well somewhere else. You will get offered every exclusive contract that you could possibly be imagined, right? You'll get offered everything for a product that doesn't sell. The reality is that a brand is just trying to pawn that off on you because they don't want to do the work. So, I think that it's super important to see where they're selling on other platforms and kind of go from there. And we only do that most of the time in exclusive relationships that we have, just because it is a ton of effort to launch brands on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. But is my camera up and going now?
Yeah, you're good. It might have been on my end too, my internet. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I was saying before was, as we're closing out our live here, right? So Brandon, you said for people interested in working with us, that is what we teach. Exactly what you said, that this business model takes real work, but you can build a very, very profitable business model, or you can build a very profitable business using our methods. And so what the business can buy you is freedom of time, the ability to get out there and spend time with the people that you care about. So if you build a business and you set up your systems, that business can generate you income like all day long while you sleep. You don't have to actually be working to make the money. If I wanted to take a week off, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, we could do that, right? And the business will continue to make money, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing. And that's, a great perk and a reason why a lot of people get into this,
Yeah, definitely. I just want to touch on this last question from Ecom Owen. What's the best thing to do with capacity limits, and what should I request, and how much per square footage should you request? So it all depends, kind of multifaceted question here, right? The best thing to do with capacity limits is to get ahead of them. If you could see your capacity monitor outlook and you could see what it looks like month to month, and usually your estimated monthly outlook, it gives, I think, 2 or 3 months in advance, is usually pretty close to what Amazon's actually going to give you. The way that they determine that is by the amount of units square footage wise or cubic feet wise that you are stocking. Right. So the more that you continue to stock, the more that they're going to give you capacity wise. If you come at 80% of your capacity limit this month, they're going to give you more next month. You should be able to bid on, for anyone that doesn't know this, you're able to bid actually on space at Amazon. So when Owen says, how much should I request? You're requesting for the amount over what Amazon currently gives you. So if Amazon is giving you, I don't know, 1,000, cubic feet, just to say a low number, you want to request another 500. So it's going to be 1,500 at the start of next month. You're locked into your capacity limits month to month, but the amount that you should bid basically should on each request is contingent on the time of the year. I'd start low. I'd start at, 50 cents. I'd go up from there per cubic feet. So cubic foot. So kind of complicated. If you need more help on that, feel free to send us a DM or something like that. Then last one in here, Nylan asking, you guys have your own warehouse or use a prep center?
We have our own warehouse. Makes more sense financially. So with a prep center, a lot of times that makes more sense, when you're in the beginning, because you're not moving as many units. And in a prep center, they're charging a variable cost per unit. So you pay for every single item that gets prepped. Whereas with the warehouses, you pay your staff, at a fixed rate, and it doesn't matter how much units they prepped. So it's the difference between fixed cost versus variable cost. And in order to scale to big numbers, you're going to have, it's not going to make as much financial sense in most cases, in going with a prep center, right? If you want to be completely hands off, no warehouse, no supervision over, a specific site, that's a different story. I know a lot of people who do that, who do run pretty good sized businesses completely out of prep centers. So it's totally doable. But for us, from a quality control standpoint, from everything else, warehouse just make more sense. And it does in a lot of cases when you're trying to build a really big and profitable business.
Yep. Definitely.
So some good questions we covered here today. And with that said, we'll probably be wrapping up this week's live. We'll be live next week. And answering your guys' questions. Next week, we'll probably do some sourcing. And a lot of times when we do the sourcing on these lives, we actually find brands that we will contact ourselves. And so that's one of the things that we do inside of our community is we actually break down live calls that we do with brands. And so a lot of you guys are struggling in doing the outreach process and understanding, how do I overcome the objection? We're not taking Amazon sellers. Right. And so that is the kinds of things that we dissect inside of our community and help you overcome those things. We also have tons of free resources, free videos on YouTube that, help with contacting suppliers and such. So, hit the subscribe button if you're not already. And if you guys are interested in working directly with us, links are in the description.
All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Peace out. We'll see you next time.